Realtors, let's be honest. At the end of the day, what's the ultimate end goal for your buyers and your sellers? My name is Joseph Hoolihan, and before we get started, if you are in the real estate industry, if you are a buyer, if you're a seller, if you're a real estate agent, if you are a new home consultant, please feel free to leave a comment below. I'm super curious to find out what your opinion is on the scenario and situation that I'm about to give you. So please leave that comment below and let me know how I can maybe think about it a little bit differently or see it from your eyes if you have a different opinion. If you agree, please feel free to leave that information below too. Let's get started. All right, so before jumping into it, this video is sponsored by ShipLife Company. That's shiplifeco.com. If you're a cruise industry enthusiast, if you like to take cruises, check out shiplifeco.com for apparel for your next cruise. So just recently, I was working with a buyer and a realtor that set an appointment to come by the Welcome Home Center to get some more information and to check out a new home for their primary residence. Over the upcoming days, I had sent them some information about the home, tried to answer a lot of preliminary questions and get that knocked out before they came and checked out the home, so that way they had a really good idea of what to expect when they arrived. The buyer actually showed about 45 minutes late, which gave the realtor and myself the opportunity to kind of chit-chat about what the buyer was expecting, what the situation was, how we could best handle this buyer and get them into the home that they were looking for. So when the buyer finally showed up, we actually decided to take him right to the home to show them the model home that we were showing at the time, and then also take him directly to the home that he was actually going to purchase. During the showing of those homes, we did a little bit more discovery to kind of find out exactly how they plan to pay for the home, how they plan to use the home and live in the home, and find out what their ultimate goals were. The buyer ended up liking the home so much that he wanted to go right back to the office to get the numbers, which is always a good sign. And so we did exactly that. I was able to get some basic information from the customer to pass on to a loan officer so we could get a cash to close estimate, or what some call a good faith estimate. This is a simple document or sheet that shows essentially every number associated with purchasing the home, from the monthly payment, the actual loan amount, the out-of-pocket expenses, etc. Now, here's where the fun begins. While I was waiting for that information from the loan officer, I talked to the buyer a little bit more about how he planned to pay for the home, only for him to tell me that he actually wasn't purchasing the home. His brother was purchasing the home. I said, "No problem. Is your brother coming by to check out the home today?" He said, "No, he lives in North Carolina." I said, "Okay, no problem. We can do this remotely as well." So I asked him when he planned to move down and if he had a job lined up already to help pay for the home. And he said, no, he lives in North Carolina. Now, at this point, I could tell that the buyer was getting a little bit frustrated. The realtor was getting a little bit frustrated. And this all could have been prevented if I would have known this beforehand. So I ended up telling the buyer that these numbers that we're getting him are going to be a little bit skewed, because numbers for a primary residence are very different than numbers for an investment purchase. An investment purchase typically has a higher down payment, less closing cost assistance, and even a higher interest rate compared to a primary residence. So I explained this to the buyer, let him go on his way, encouraged his brother to go ahead and apply for the home, and then we would be able to go from there. Later on in the evening, the realtor actually reached back out to me and said, "Thank you so much for all your help. I actually already tried to explain this to the buyer." And then I thought to myself, why didn't this come up in that preliminary discussion before the buyer even showed up? This could have saved a lot of time. It could have saved a lot of headache and a lot of frustration for all parties involved. And ironically, at the time, we weren't selling to investors at all. So I say this because, let's be honest, what is the ultimate goal for your buyers and sellers? For your buyers, it's to get them into a new home, and for your sellers, it's to get them out of the home. And in most cases, you're working with another party, another realtor, another new home consultant. It may be in your best benefit to disclose and be honest as possible with all the information that you have, because then each of you can tailor your presentations accordingly. If I would have known this well in advance, I could have sent him the proper information. I could have set the expectation. I could have tailored the presentation when he arrived in a way that would have been a little bit more beneficial to an investor purchase instead of a primary residence. The kicker of all was that the buyer that was present in front of me was not pre-qualified. The brother was not pre-qualified. So the moral of the story is to be upfront and honest as possible. If you are a buyer or seller working to buy a new home or sell your current home and have to hire a realtor, Be as open and honest with them as possible. Tell them everything that you need to tell them in order to sell that home as fast as possible or to purchase a home at the very, very best deal. And your realtor will work their best to do that. If you are a realtor working with a buyer that's working with another realtor, your goal at the end of the day is to sell that home together. If you're a buyer, it's to buy that home together. Work with your realtor partners, work with your new home consultant partners to achieve that goal because, again, at the end of the day, it's going to save you a lot of frustration, a lot of headache, a lot of time, and maybe even a lot of money. If you like this information, please feel free to like and subscribe and comment below. Again, if you're in the real estate industry, I'm curious to know if you've ever been in a situation like this and what your thoughts are. And I'm like to be as open-minded as possible. So if you have some opinions or some suggestions for me, please feel free to let me know. I appreciate you watching. Have a great day.